She looks at you and feels nothing, no spark, no pull, no curiosity. And that's exactly where most men panic and lose all leverage. Let me tell you something uncomfortable but freeing. A woman not being interested in you right now doesn't mean you are unattractive to her mind. It means her nervous system hasn't been activated in the right way yet. Attraction is not a moral judgment, it's a psychological response. Most men try to fix this by doing more, talking more, explaining more, giving more attention, complimenting more, and every time they do, they unknowingly reinforce the very reason she's not interested. Because female attraction is not built on effort, it's built on emotional contrast. When a woman says she's not interested, what she's really saying, without realizing it, is that you currently feel predictable, emotionally accessible, or mentally flat to her system. There's no tension, no curiosity, no reason for her brain to lean in. Here's the truth you were never taught. Attraction doesn't start with desire, it starts with interest. And interest is born when her expectations are disrupted in a calm, grounded way. You don't make a woman want you by convincing her. You make her want you by changing the emotional experience she associates with you. And that begins with one critical shift. You stop trying to be chosen. When you remove the need to be liked, something subtle but powerful happens. Your energy changes, your tone slows down, your presence becomes less reactive, and her nervous system picks that up immediately. Women are exquisitely sensitive to emotional dependency. The moment she feels you need her interest to feel okay about yourself, her attraction shuts down. Not because she's cruel, but because her biology reads neediness as instability. So the first step is not a tactic, it's an internal repositioning. You stop chasing approval, you stop performing, you stop over-investing emotionally. Instead, you show up as a man who enjoys interaction but doesn't require outcome. This creates psychological safety and intrigue at the same time. She begins to feel something unfamiliar, relief mixed with curiosity. Relief because you're not pressuring her, curiosity because you're no longer predictable. And that combination is the doorway to attraction. At this stage, she's not suddenly into you, but something has shifted. Her brain has stopped categorizing you as emotionally irrelevant. And that's the only opening attraction ever needs. Not force, not persuasion, but space for a new emotional experience to form. That's where everything begins. Now here's where things get interesting, and where most men make a fatal mistake. The moment they sense even a small shift in her attention, they rush to capitalize on it. They lean in emotionally. They become more available. They start signaling interest more openly, hoping to lock it in. And just like that, the tension collapses. Because attraction does not grow in environments of certainty. It grows in environments of emotional curiosity. If she wasn't interested before, your job is not to persuade her. Your job is to create a different emotional dynamic than the one she already dismissed. That dynamic is built on three quiet pillars: boundaries, pacing, and presence. First, boundaries. When you don't instantly adapt your schedule, opinions, or behavior to accommodate her, something subtle happens in her mind. She realizes you have a life that doesn't revolve around her validation. This does not make you distant. It makes you real. Second, pacing. You allow conversations to breathe. You don't rush intimacy. You don't rush disclosure. You don't rush emotional closeness. Women feel attraction when they are allowed to discover a man, not when he lays himself out all at once. And third, presence. When you are with her, you are fully there, calm, attentive, unreactive. You listen more than you speak. You respond rather than perform. This level of grounded presence feels rare to a woman, and rarity creates value. Now here's the psychological shift she experiences. At first, she didn't feel anything because you felt available, familiar, emotionally open without challenge. But now she feels something else: contrast. She doesn't know exactly what changed, but she feels it. You're not trying to impress her anymore. You're not chasing reactions. You're not subtly asking to be chosen. and that forces her brain to reassess you. She starts paying attention to how she feels around you. And this is critical. Women fall in love with how they feel in a man's presence, not with the man's effort. If she feels calm, intrigued, slightly unsettled in a good way, attraction begins forming, not because you tried harder, but because you stopped trying at all. This is where emotional polarity starts to emerge. She begins leaning in, not physically yet, but mentally. She asks questions. She engages more deeply. She tests your consistency. And the worst thing you can do here is react to that test. Stay centered. Let her curiosity grow on its own. Because the moment she realizes she can't easily place you anymore, that you're not seeking her approval, that's the moment interest turns into desire. Quietly, unexpectedly, and powerfully. Here's the part most men misunderstand, and it costs them everything. They think attraction is something you create in a woman. In reality, attraction is something you allow by removing what blocks it. What blocks it most often is emotional pressure. When a woman isn't interested, she's usually protecting her emotional autonomy. She doesn't want to feel pulled, obligated, or responsible for your feelings. And the moment she senses that pressure, even subtly, her system closes. So the real shift happens when you become emotionally self-contained. You stop checking for signs. You stop scanning her tone. You stop measuring every interaction. And paradoxically, that's when she starts noticing you. Because now she's the one wondering. She wonders why you didn't react when she pulled back slightly. She wonders why you didn't jump at the opening she expected you to chase. She wonders why you feel calmer than most men who want her attention. This creates something incredibly important in her mind, contrast with past experiences. Most men behave the same way when they want a woman. More attention, more availability, more reassurance seeking. When you don't follow that pattern, her brain flags you as different. And different equals interesting. She may begin testing you in subtle ways. She might mention another man. She might delay a response. She might show mild indifference to see if you chase. These are not games. They're subconscious checks for emotional stability. And if you remain grounded, neither withdrawing nor pursuing, you pass the test without ever knowing it was happening. This is where attraction deepens quietly. She starts associating you with emotional ease, with safety and intrigue, with a sense of space she doesn't feel around other men. And here's the most important part. She begins feeling attraction without knowing why. There's no dramatic moment, no clear decision, just a growing pull she can't logically explain. That's because desire formed in the nervous system, not the mind. And the more you stay centered in yourself, focused on your life, your goals, your rhythm, the more that pull strengthens. Not because you're unavailable, but because you're not dependent. You didn't change who you are. You changed where you stand emotionally. And that shift does something profound. It gives her the freedom to want you, without pressure, without resistance, without fear. And once a woman wants you on her own terms, without being convinced, that desire is far stronger than anything effort could ever create. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything either comes together or quietly falls apart. When a woman begins wanting you after not being interested, the danger is no longer creating attraction. The danger is destroying it. This is the moment many men sabotage themselves. They sense the shift. They feel her leaning in. And suddenly, old habits return. They start over-texting, over-explaining, over-investing emotionally. And without realizing it, they reintroduce the very pressure that made her uninterested in the first place. Here is the final truth you were never taught. Attraction survives only when it is met with emotional restraint. You don't speed up now. You don't lock things down. You don't ask for clarity too soon. You let the dynamic unfold at its natural pace. Because the reason she wants you now isn't because you did something special. It's because you stopped needing something from her. And the moment you start needing confirmation, reassurance, or outcome, you reverse the polarity. The man she wants is the man who remains grounded whether she chooses him or not Not indifferent, not cold, but whole. When you hold that emotional position, something powerful happens. She feels safe wanting you. Safe because there's no pressure. Safe because she's choosing freely. Safe because you're not trying to extract something from her. And that safety allows desire to deepen instead of collapse. This is also where you reclaim something far more important than her interest, your self-respect. Because the ultimate goal was never to make this woman want you. The real goal was to become the kind of man whose presence naturally awakens attraction, without chasing, convincing, or proving. Some women will lean in, some won't, and that's okay. Because once you understand this psychology, you stop needing universal approval. You become selective, you become calm, you become centered. And paradoxically, that's when women begin noticing you more. So here's the personal question I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Are you trying to make someone want you? Or are you becoming someone who doesn't need to be wanted to feel complete? If this message gave you clarity, like the video. Subscribe for deeper truths about female psychology and modern dating. And share this with a friend who's still chasing interest instead of building attraction. Sometimes the shift that changes everything is the one that happens inside you first.